of my deepest satisfactions, Pepe writes in his latest book, out there now, is that my concept of UP as the national university and my proposal to exempt UP from the salary standardization law was finally embodied in the UP Charter of 2008, signed into law on April 7 this year. When Pepe retired, he didn't. Instead, he founded Kalayaan College at Riverbank Center in Marikina. Today, Pepe is a staunch advocate of a federal republic with a parliamentary government and the requisite revision of our country's constitution. Pepe has always been a person of sturdy principles and robust convictions, and is never faced by any controversy or opposition. He would fearlessly come to terms with it toward a just resolution. A prodigious scholar, with numerous works published here and abroad, and many awards and citations to his name. An exemplary, indefatigable public servant of his country and of the world. A man of compassion, with a gentle sense of humor, a generous soul, congenitally incapable of malice, a friend to all, open-handed, with warmth and cheer. I give you such a man, Dr. Jose Pepe Veloso Abueva.
Regent Nelly Gonzalez, former Regent Oscar Alfonso, Vice President Amy Guevara, Chancellor Jerry Cao, Chancellor Gigi Alfonso, mga kasama sa UP, at mga kaibigan. Mabuti narinig ko na. Mahirap yung hindi mo na marinig yung magandang sinasabi sa'yo. As we celebrate UP's centennial, we have much to be proud of and grateful. UP naming mahal, pag-asa ng bayan. We deservedly pat ourselves on the back. Sabi ng ating UP Alumni Association, ang galing mo. A century of excellence, leadership, and service. Moreover, thank the Lord, we now have Republic Act 9500, an act to strengthen UP as the national university, signed by President Arroyo on the 28th of April, and again, the next day in Cebu College, which I was happy to witness. Forgive me for taking personal pride and satisfaction that our original concept of UP as a national university is now embodied in that Republic Act. But you know, we proposed it initially in 1992, 1993. Ang tagal na panahon yun. It has taken 15 years of very slow motion of our legislature to approve that bill. In the meantime, of course, we suffered from lack of resources, brain drain of our faculty. But that's water under the bridge. So let's celebrate the approval of that law. We are very fortunate that we have President Roman, the first woman president at the helm, in our celebration of the centennial. And she came into the helm of our university with a complete program for effecting its new role, its recognized role as the national university. When I was president, I wondered what the National Board of Education meant when it declared in 1972 that UP was the national university, and why this declaration was actually unknown, ignored, and forgotten. So before my term ended in 1993, I identified the paramount status and interacting roles of UP in the nation's life. I said then that UP was and deserved to be recognized as the Philippines National University because among our many universities, UP alone had these capabilities. One, UP sets standards of excellence in higher education. Two, UP is the nation's premier graduate university. Three, UP is the nation's leading public service university in their training, extension, consultancy, and public service. And because of all these roles, UP is the leading Philippine university in the Asian region and the world. Lahat ng ito ay totoo naman, hindi sa pagmamayabang. So if UP is so great by virtue of her extraordinary status, role, and achievements as the national university, what is wrong with her? What is lacking in her? Sa ibang sabi, kung UP ang pag-asa ng bayan, ano naman ang kalagayan ngayon ng ating lupang hinirang? Until the end or the mid-1960s, the Philippines, with a population of only 32 million, was a leading nation and democracy among the developing nations in East Asia. But in 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos, a much recognized alumnus of this university, established an authoritarian regime that would reverse our democratic and economic development, spread the communist movement to the Visayas and Mindanao, and provoke the secessionist Moro National Liberation Movement. He corrupted our politics and society and politicized the military as never before. The nation still suffers from Marcos' betrayal of the nation in his over 13 years of dictatorship. Sadly and unforgettably, the late dictator has also shamed UP. 22 years after the EDSA revolt that promised us justice, freedom, and democracy, what have we got? I do not minimize our people's heroic overthrow of authoritarian rule at EDSA. The freedom of the press, the vibrancy of our civil society, our economic gains following the regulation and fiscal reforms, the development of our tourism, and until lately, the brightened prospects for business. But our high population growth, joblessness, and low incomes have pushed millions of our workers and even professionals overseas to find a better life for themselves at great sacrifice to their separated families. Suddenly rising costs of energy and food aggravate conditions here and elsewhere. As you are very familiar with the true state of the nation, I shall not bother you with a recitation of our problems and crises. We would like to believe that UP has been more a part of the solution rather than of the problems that we know. Our task is certainly to be a greater national university from now onward. On Independence Day this year, Jose Maria Montalibano posed a rather harsh challenge to all Filipinos that UP as the national university might well note. And I quote, "Unfortunately, independence is a hollow state, just as hollow as our democracy. The trappings are all there, but the substance is missing. Poverty makes slaves of people, denies them choices. How can true independence and democracy coexist with a poverty so massive and crippling? How can independence and democracy live with such shame? He goes on, Filipinos have little to celebrate, but much to strive for. Independence and democracy are worth all the sweat of our brows and the blood of our veins. They are the legacy we must build, the honor we must attain for ourselves and for Filipinos of all time. The vision of UP as the national university. Our new charter defines the vision of UP in terms of the paramount roles I have articulated. But beyond this, happily imbibing the transformative ethos of the university, the revised charter calls on UP seriously to undertake the following. 1, training and learning in leadership, responsible citizenship, and the development of democratic values, institutions, and practice. 2, regularly study the state of the nation in relation to national development and give advice to all our leaders regarding this. 3, under UP's social responsibility, pursue universal principles and relate these to the needs of the Filipino people for social progress and transformation. Alam pala ng Congress yung social transformation. 4, provide venues for student volunteerism. Interpreting the UP Charter of 2008, let me restate the vision of UP as the national university as learning for truth, leadership, and social transformation. So let me tackle 4 topics in a row. Learning to learn, which includes learning to unlearn. 2, learning for truth. 3, for leadership. And 4, for social transformation. Now our role in learning. In addition to UP's constant scientific, humanistic, and artistic learning, UP has to develop the following learning capabilities that the United Nations University has developed for herself. 1, the capacity to learn and to learn how to learn, which includes the faculty to unlearn, as I said. To question not only conventional knowledge, but also hypotheses and assumptions, and to counteract the tendency to ignore what may be important areas not related to one's paradigm. This includes the ability to think differently, to recognize the limitations of particular disciplines, approaches, methodologies, and techniques. 2, the capacity to investigate problems in ways that combine the perspectives and methods of various disciplines and professions, respect different cultural traditions, and recognize divergent schools of thought and ideologies. 3, the capacity to relate to the interface